Chosen one, this message didn't find you by accident. God led you here for a reason. There's something about your journey that heaven has taken personal interest in. You didn't just survive life. You submitted to the process. You didn't just keep going, you kept growing. You didn't just cry, you cried out to God. And now, the realm of the miraculous is opening to you. You're not just favored, you're marked. You're not just lucky, you're aligned. What you're about to step into isn't a coincidence, it's compensation. You are now a magnet for miracles, and it's not because of who you know. It's because of what you paid, the sacrifices, the obedience, the silence, the faith. It wasn't for nothing. Let's break this down into 7 powerful chapters to help you see the divine setup that's been unfolding in your life. Before we go deeper, make sure you like, share, and subscribe, because this message isn't just another video, it's a divine confirmation. It's not hype, it's heaven. And you didn't find it by accident. God led you here on purpose, at the exact moment you were meant to hear this. To every supporter who's been giving through super thanks, may God bless you 100-fold. Your faithfulness is seen, not just by me, but by heaven. Thank you for standing with this prophetic work. If your spirit feels aligned with this message, type 77 in the comments right now. That number is more than a sign. It's a signal that you're ready for divine miracles, divine recompense, and divine momentum that comes when you've already paid the price, in silence, in obedience, and in faith. Not everyone is supposed to receive this word. Only the truly chosen will feel it in their bones. And those who stay till the end, you're going to leave with clarity, divine confidence, and confirmation that your miracle isn't on the way. It's already in motion. This is more than motivation. It's a prophetic blueprint. Watch it again when your spirit stirs, because each time, a deeper layer will be revealed. Let's get into it. Chapter 1. You didn't quit when you had every reason to. Chosen one. Before the favor came, the fire came first, and you walked through it, barefoot, bleeding and broken, but still believing. You had every reason to give up, every reason to turn back, every reason to believe that maybe the promise wasn't real. Life hit you with disappointments that made you question everything. People you would have died for turned around and betrayed you. Doors that you prayed would open, slammed shut. And while others around you were celebrating, it seemed like your life was stuck in delay, silence, and spiritual drought. But you didn't quit. You stayed when others left. You cried, but you still worshipped. You didn't see results, but you still showed up. You had nothing left, but you still gave. You were tempted to settle, but you chose to wait. You didn't need an audience. You just needed God. And that kind of silent loyalty doesn't go unnoticed in heaven. That kind of obedience, in the absence of reward, is what proves you're not chasing blessings. You're chasing purpose. Heaven took note of your perseverance. The angels watched you endure, and the Spirit of God whispered, "That one is ready." You passed tests no one else saw. You fought battles that would have destroyed others. You kept the faith when it made no logical sense. And now, that same quiet endurance is attracting loud miracles. You're not being rewarded because life was easy. You're being blessed because you stayed faithful when life was brutal. You've proven to God that you can be trusted even in pain. And now, He's about to trust you with power, visibility, influence, and resources, not to inflate your ego, but to show the world what favor really looks like when it rests on someone who didn't give up. This is your season of divine recompense, and this is just the beginning. You survived the season that was sent to destroy you, and now you're about to thrive in the season that was always meant to crown you. Every scar you carry is about to become a seal of honor. Every tear you shed is about to be returned as a river of blessings. What once looked like delay was actually divine development. God was not punishing you, He was preparing you. And now that the time is right, the reward will be undeniable. Chosen one, your resilience is about to speak louder than any resume. Your pain will become the platform. Your endurance will become the evidence. You didn't quit, and because of that, heaven is releasing the miracle. Get ready. This was never just about survival. It was about positioning you for supernatural overflow. Chapter 2. You paid a price in places no one saw. Chosen one, there are sacrifices only you and God will ever truly understand. Deep wounds you had to carry in silence. Decisions you made in the dark that shaped your destiny in the light. You gave when no one was watching. You prayed when no one was listening. You laid things on the altar of obedience that others would have clung to out of pride. And you did it all without applause, without validation, and without expectation of reward, simply because your spirit knew it was the right thing to do. You cried yourself to sleep, then woke up and encouraged others. You carried burdens that weren't yours to carry, just to keep the peace. You stayed loyal to people who would have replaced you in a heartbeat. And instead of seeking revenge, you sought restoration. Instead of clapping back, you chose silence. Instead of proving yourself, you trusted that God would do the revealing. These are the prices no one saw. The offerings that didn't happen on platforms, but in private, and heaven has not forgotten them. The quiet choices to forgive, to walk away, to keep your heart clean, they were costly, but they were powerful. Each one of them wrote a line in your spiritual resume. Each one stored up unseen favor in the realm of the Spirit. You weren't being overlooked. You were being observed by heaven. God was watching how you handled betrayal, scarcity, loneliness, and rejection. And because you stayed true, He's about to show everyone what kind of reward comes to those who suffer in silence but remain faithful in spirit. The price you paid in hidden places created a spiritual credit in high places. You've been storing up favor like a vault, and now the heavens are opening. Miracles don't randomly fall. They are released on the back of obedience. And your obedience has reached the ears of heaven. Your sacrifices have become incense in God's throne room. He has seen the cost, and now you're about to see the compensation. You're not begging for blessings. They're being dispatched to you, not because of what you're doing right now, but because of what you already did when it cost you everything. You sowed in tears, but you're about to reap in joy. You stayed low, and now God is about to lift you high. People may have forgotten, but God kept the receipts. He knows every prayer you whispered through gritted teeth. He saw every time you bit your tongue to avoid cursing what He told you to bless. That kind of discipline is expensive and rare. And here's what most don't realize. Every time you chose obedience over impulse, you created an opening in the spirit realm. Every quiet moment of surrender was loud in heaven. Angels moved when you humbled yourself instead of fighting back. The atmosphere shifted every time you kept your heart clean, when bitterness tried to take root. But now, it's time for public favor to meet your private faithfulness. The reward is not just coming, it's overdue. What they thought you lost in secret, God is about to replace in public. You're not just a survivor, you're a sower. And this is harvest season. Get ready, chosen one. The price you paid in secret is about to produce a miracle that makes no sense in the natural. Chapter 3. You were broken so you could carry more. Chosen one, the breaking wasn't punishment, it was preparation. You didn't get crushed because God was angry. You got crushed because heaven was building something stronger through you. The pain wasn't random, it was targeted. The season of breaking was never meant to bury you. It was meant to build your spiritual capacity. God had to stretch you, test you, strip you, not to shame you, but to shape you. Because what you're being called to carry isn't light. Miracles may look beautiful on the outside, but they require vessels that have been tested under fire. Your heart had to be stretched in ways that felt unfair. People walked away when you needed them most. Opportunities disappeared when you thought they were guaranteed. It felt like everything stable was slipping through your fingers, but God was never trying to subtract. He was making space. Space for glory. Space for abundance. Space for divine revelation. When you lost what was familiar, you gained access to what was eternal. That kind of expansion hurts, not because you were weak, but because you were chosen to carry more than the average person. And carrying more always starts with losing what you thought you couldn't live without. You weren't just being humbled, you were being hollowed out, so that divine power could fill you. Every shattered expectation, every unanswered prayer, every closed door, every season of silence, it was all part of your training. God didn't allow you to be broken to watch you bleed. He allowed it so He could teach you how to bless from a deeper place. The oil flows from the crushed. The anointing rests on the yielded. You couldn't carry this mantle with a shallow mindset or an untested heart. So God allowed life to bend you, to bruise you, to break you, so that your vessel would be strong enough to carry the weight of what's coming. Miracles are heavy, and not everyone can steward them. Many want the blessing, but they don't want the breaking. They want the spotlight, but they don't want the shaping. But you endured. You stayed when it got uncomfortable. You kept walking even when your feet were bloody. You trusted God even when you didn't understand the assignment. That is why you're about to be trusted with more. The breaking was never the end. It was the blueprint. Your brokenness created access to a level of spiritual maturity that can't be faked. Your tears baptized you into a new level of discernment. Your loneliness trained your ears to hear heaven. Your disappointments taught you to find joy in God alone. And now, what once looked like ruins is being rebuilt into a temple of power, a sanctuary of wisdom, a fortress of faith. People who saw your broken season thought it disqualified you, but it actually certified you. The cracks in your soul became the pathways for God's light. The pain softened your heart so that divine compassion could flow through you. You're not bitter, you're better. You're not wounded, you're woven together with holy intention. You're not broken anymore, you're built. You didn't survive that season just to go back to normal. Normal doesn't fit you anymore. You went through the fire so you could carry the flame. You went through the storm so you could calm other people's. You were broken so you could become a blessing. And now, the weight you once struggled under will become the weight you carry with authority. Heaven is about to reveal why you had to break, because what's coming is too powerful to be carried in anything less than a surrendered vessel. Chapter 4. You attract the miraculous because you stayed pure. Chosen one. The reason miracles are starting to surround you is because you refuse to contaminate your spirit. You could have chosen the easy route. You could have blended in. You could have lied, schemed, compromised, and no one would have blamed you. But you didn't. You kept your hands clean and your heart right. even when it cost you. You chose the narrow path, the road of purity, not perfection, but purity. A heart that stayed loyal to God in a world full of shortcuts and counterfeits. Even when it was tempting to compromise, you kept your soul aligned with truth. You walked away from money that didn't feel right. You avoided opportunities that came with a spiritual price tag. You stayed quiet when it was easier to clap back. You prayed for people who hurt you. You forgave before apologies ever came. That kind of heart posture doesn't go unnoticed in the spirit realm. Heaven responds to purity with power. You didn't manipulate your way forward. You waited. You didn't sell your values for visibility. You didn't betray your conscience for clout. You understood that being clean before God is more valuable than being celebrated by men. And now, that integrity is drawing divine attention. Miracles aren't just about what you believe. They're also about how you behave when no one is watching. And your behavior in hidden places has become a beacon for supernatural favor. God saw the quiet decisions you made to protect your spirit. He saw you delete that message. He saw you walk away from that offer. He saw you sit alone rather than sit with the wrong crowd. He saw you say no to things that others would have said yes to out of desperation. And while it felt like you were missing out, what you were really doing was making room for something real, something holy, something only heaven could provide. The world may reward performance, appearance, and achievement, but God rewards purity. Holiness isn't outdated. It's still the breeding ground for breakthrough. And you've been growing in it, silently. You've been becoming pure gold in a world chasing glitter. You've been building an altar with your lifestyle, not just your lips. That's why heaven is responding. That's why angels are being assigned. That's why doors are opening without you forcing them. The fact that you didn't let life turn you cold or cynical is a miracle by itself. You remained soft when life was hard. You chose love when hate felt justified. You chose peace when chaos surrounded you. And that softness, that purity, has made you magnetic to the miraculous. Because purity is powerful. It's not weak, it's warfare. It's a quiet weapon that invites heaven to war on your behalf. You're not just blessed, you're set apart. That's what holiness means. Set apart, different, consecrated. While others chased the world, you chased God. While others sought popularity, you pursued presence. And now, that presence is overtaking your life. You don't need to chase miracles. They're being sent to you because of who you became when no one else was watching. Chapter 5. You sowed in drought. Now comes the rain. Chosen one, you gave when you had every reason to withhold. You loved when your heart was bleeding. You served while you were secretly suffering. You poured into others when no one was pouring into you. You stayed generous even when you felt empty. Your time, your money, your prayers, your encouragement, your presence. You gave without keeping score, not because you had so much, but because your heart refused to turn cold. You weren't just generous in the natural. You were sacrificial in the spiritual. You gave God your time when others gave excuses. You gave Him your worship when life gave you every reason to stay silent. You didn't sow from surplus. You sowed from scarcity. That's what made it powerful. That's what made it holy. You honored God not only with your mouth, but with your life. And every seed you planted, even the ones watered by tears, is now crying out for a harvest. The drought was real. The lack was real. But you never let it dry up your faith. You sowed in famine. You gave love in a world that withheld it. You gave kindness when you were met with cruelty. You chose to sow peace in the middle of chaos. And even when it looked like your seeds were being buried and forgotten, they were being counted in heaven. God was watching. And now comes the rain. The rain isn't random. It's a divine response. The clouds are full because your faith made deposits. Every quiet sacrifice, every unseen offering, every prayer whispered in the dark, every time you gave without applause, every moment you trusted God more than your feelings. It's all been accumulating. The heavens have kept a perfect record, and now the floodgates are swinging open. This isn't just a blessing, it's a downpour, a saturation, a supernatural release of what's been held back. Because of your obedience in drought, you are about to reap in overflow. You're about to receive answers that overwhelm you, provision that overtakes you, favor that follows you like a shadow. You gave in faith, now you'll receive by force. Not because you begged, but because you believed. The laws of the kingdom have always been clear. He who sows bountifully will also reap bountifully. And you, chosen one, sowed with your life. That's why the reaping won't just touch your hands, it will cover your house. Your name is being mentioned in rooms you've never stepped into. Angels are being dispatched to deliver what was delayed. This isn't compensation, it's multiplication. So don't be surprised when doors open without your knocking. Don't question why help shows up without you asking. Don't second-guess the favor that falls in your lap. This is the reward of your faithfulness. This is the fruit of your drought season obedience. This is divine math, and heaven never misses a calculation. You gave when it was hard, now God is making it easy. You sowed when it hurt, now He's healing what you didn't even speak about. You watered others while you were dry, now He's sending rivers to you. The season of drought was the proving ground, and because you passed the test, the forecast has changed in your favor. Chosen one, get ready, because it's not just a drizzle, it's rain, a prophetic rain. Chapter 6. You're in position, now comes the power. Chosen one, this is not the season to shrink. This is the season to shine. You didn't come this far to blend in. You didn't survive what you did just to sit in the background. God has not only refined your character, He's positioned your life. Every door that closed, every person that left, every plan that fell apart. None of it was by accident. It was all divine choreography, a setup, a holy rerouting. Because where you're standing now is not a mistake. It's a manifestation of strategic placement. Every detour had a destiny. Every delay carried instructions. Every time you felt like nothing was working, heaven was actually working everything together for your good. You weren't being punished. You were being positioned. You were being moved, shifted, adjusted, realigned, not just geographically, but spiritually, mentally, and emotionally. God has moved you like a warrior in a divine chess game. And now, the board is set. You are exactly where you need to be for power to flow. You've entered a season where heaven doesn't need you to try harder, just to stay aligned. You don't need to chase, you need to remain. You don't need to convince, you need to stand. Because when God positions you, He also empowers you. You are about to experience supernatural acceleration, not because of striving, but because of surrender. Your obedience has opened a gate, and now divine power is about to rush through it. This power is not just for signs and wonders, it's for divine assignments. You are being trusted with influence. You are being trusted with insight. You are being trusted with impact. What once drained you will now draw from you. You're becoming a source of strength, healing, and direction. Not because you're better than others, but because you've been broken in the right places. You've been crushed where others would have quit. And God always gives his power to the proven. Chosen one, you're not just in a new place, you're in a new posture, and heaven responds to posture more than performance. This isn't about how loud your voice is, it's about how yielded your heart is. You didn't push your way here, you were pulled here by purpose. You didn't manipulate your seat, God carved it out for you. And now that you're in position, power is about to confirm your presence. Watch how quickly things begin to shift. Watch how effortlessly doors open. Watch how resources arrive without a struggle. This is the grace zone, where effort meets ease, where purpose meets power. You're not just stepping into a new season. You're stepping into divine effectiveness. You'll speak and things will move. You'll show up and atmospheres will shift. You'll pray and chains will break. Because you're not operating from your own strength. You're flowing in supernatural authority. The wait was worth it. The warfare was necessary. The wilderness had purpose. Because now you don't just have clarity, you carry weight. Heaven recognizes your name. Hell fears your movement. And earth is about to feel your impact. Chosen one, this is your power moment. Not the kind of power that puffs up, but the kind that heals, builds, restores, and leads. Power with purity, power with purpose, power that multiplies, power that doesn't need applause because it's anchored in assignment. Chapter 7. This isn't luck. This is God's reward system. Chosen one, the world may call it coincidence. They may whisper that you got lucky or that you were in the right place at the right time. But heaven knows better. You know better. This moment, this breakthrough, this shift in your life is not some random blessing that fell out of the sky. It is a divine response to a life of faithfulness. This is the reward of obedience, the harvest of hidden sacrifice, the manifestation of promises whispered in the dark. This is God's reward system, and you're walking proof that it's real. You served when no one noticed. You sowed seeds of faith when everything around you screamed doubt. You kept your hands clean, your heart soft, and your spirit open, even when life hit hard. That was not weakness. That was spiritual strength. That was the kind of integrity that can't be faked, and heaven never forgets it. The miracles you're stepping into are not miracles of chance. They are miracles of covenant. You made a quiet agreement with God when no one was watching, that you'd stay faithful, no matter the cost. This is a scheduled release, a heaven-timed moment that couldn't be rushed, stolen, or delayed. The reward may look instant, but the preparation took years. You suffered in silence. You healed in hiding. You kept showing up when quitting would have been easier. And now, your life is becoming a testimony that God sees, God remembers, and God repays. You're not just being elevated, you're being vindicated. Every time they overlooked you, mocked you, doubted you, it's being reversed, not by your hand, but by God's. Because when God rewards, He makes it public. He doesn't just lift you privately, He prepares a table in the presence of your enemies. Chosen one, you've stepped into a new realm now, a realm where miracles aren't occasional, they're expected, where supernatural provision becomes a lifestyle, because you're not just walking into blessings, you're walking in authority, power that was granted through purity. This is what it looks like when heaven responds to a clean vessel. This isn't hype, this is holiness. This isn't noise, this is alignment. You're not faking it, you've been formed for it. That's why you carry weight when you walk into a room. You're not just anointed, you're trusted. God didn't give you this season to impress people. He gave you this season to fulfill prophecy. So walk boldly, not arrogantly, but confidently. Live fully, not fearfully, but faithfully. Expect suddenly, not because you're entitled, but because you're aligned. The miraculous is not a surprise to you. It's your new normal. This isn't luck. This is legacy. This is what favor looks like on a faithful life. This is what it looks like when God steps in and says, "Well done."